Welcome to the Geostrategic Podcast.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us for what is guaranteed to be a fascinating deep dive into global power shifts. In a stunning move that caught the world by surprise, Myanmar has just unveiled Russia's newest military secret, the Mi-38T helicopter. This isn't just another aircraft. It's a game changer, a symbol of how Russia is extending its reach deep into Southeast Asia, and how Myanmar just became the first country on Earth to operate it. But what's behind this deal? Power, survival, or a new axis of influence taking shape right before our eyes. Stay tuned as we break down the real story behind Myanmar's secret weapon, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay ahead of global power shifts. So our mission today really is to dive deep into the geostrategic implications of Myanmar bringing this new hardware online. We're looking at, this conversions of Myanmar's pretty desperate military needs and Russia's bigger geopolitical goals.
Yeah, and strategic statement isn't putting it too strongly. I mean, if you look at Myanmar right now, they're embroiled in this really widespread internal conflict. It's across almost all the major ethnic areas.
So for their military, air mobility isn't just nice to have anymore.
Not at all. It's absolutely critical. It's the difference between, success and, frankly, catastrophic failure in some areas. Their ground logistics in many places have just completely broken down because of these constant guerrilla attacks.
And the terrain they're operating in is just brutal, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking vast highlands, really dense forests, mountain corridors. Think Shan State, Kachin State, just incredibly challenging.
Right. And their older helicopters, mostly Mi-17s, they were probably struggling already with age and that kind of environment.
Exactly. Age, maintenance, and the performance limits, especially at altitude. That's where the Mi-38T is designed to step in. It's the modern replacement for that Mi-817 family, the real workhorses for Russia for, decades.
So where does it fit in the lineup?
Think of it as filling a key gap. It's right between the older Mi-17 and the huge Mi-26 heavy lifter. It offers a really powerful mid-class solution, serious lift, but not the massive operating cost of the Mi-26.
Okay, let's get into the specifics then. Why is this a strategic necessity for them now? What specs really make a difference on the ground?
Right. It really comes down to two things: capacity and altitude. Those are the areas the Mi-17 fleet was struggling with.
Yeah.
So the older helos, they typically manage an internal payload around 4,000 kilograms. The Mi-38T, we're looking at 6,000 kilos internally.
6,000, wow.
And it can sling up to 7,000 kilograms externally.
Okay, hold on. Let's translate that extra, 2,000 kilos internal lift. What does that actually mean for operations?
It's a game changer for resupply. That difference means you can lift, say, a whole field artillery piece or a small armored vehicle, maybe enough fuel and ammo for a forward post all in one trip.
So fewer trips needed.
Exactly. Fewer trips mean less exposure, less time vulnerable to ground fire, man pads, you name it. It makes their whole logistics chain much more resilient.
That's a huge tactical plus. Okay, you mentioned altitude too. How does it handle those high mountain areas where the air's thin?
That's the other critical piece. The Mi-38T has a service ceiling of 6,300 meters, much higher than a lot of the older Mi-17 variants could reliably operate at, especially with a heavy load.
So places like Shan State, it wouldn't struggle.
Precisely. This new engine, the TV7-117V, and the rotor system, they're designed for that kind of hot and high performance. It means they can operate reliably up there.
And these conflict zones are vast. We're talking long distances into places like Sagaing or Chin State. What about range?
Good point. Range is impressive, too. Up to 880 kilometers on internal fuel.
Okay.
And if they strap on extra tanks, they can push that out to maybe 1,300 kilometers. That's huge for reaching remote areas without needing vulnerable forward refueling points.
And the package itself wasn't just standard transports, right? There was something else.
Yeah, that's interesting. They got 2 standard transport versions, but also 1 VIP salon variant.
A VIP version in the middle of all this. Seems odd.
It shows you the priority, though. It allows the top military leadership, the commander-in-chief, key staff, to move around securely and combine that with the heavy combat support capability. Keeps the brass mobile and safe when ground travel is just too risky.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So a platform perfectly suited to their needs. Now let's talk about the deal itself, because getting these helicopters wasn't straightforward, was it?
No, it was quite the saga, a real diplomatic and logistical marathon. Talks kicked off back in 2019. The contract was actually signed in January 2020.
But delivery was supposed to be September 2025, and that got pushed back quite a bit.
Yeah, repeatedly. It was hit by a perfect storm of problems.
Technical stuff first, then politics.
Exactly. First, there were some technical refinements needed for that new Klimov engine, the TV7-117V, just dialing it in for optimal performance, especially in those hot and high conditions Myanmar needs.
Okay, normal teething issues for new tech.
Sort of, yeah. But then came the big disruptions. The 2021 military coup triggered massive Western sanctions. That basically shut down normal banking, insurance, even shipping routes for them.
Making payment and delivery incredibly difficult.
Extremely. And then, just as things might have stabilized, Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine happened. That forced Russia to prioritize its own domestic defense production, which understandably hit export schedules hard across the board.
Wow, so technical issues, a coup, sanctions, a major war. Incredible resilience from both sides to actually see this through after 3 years of delays.
It really is, which tells you how important this was for both parties.
So it must really boil down to price then. I mean, compared to Western alternatives they simply can't get access to anyway.
Price is definitely a huge driver here. Strategic pricing from Russia is key. They're offering very competitive lift performance at a relatively low cost. Sources estimate maybe under $25 million per helicopter.
Per unit.
Per unit, yeah. Making the whole program, including training support, the whole package, somewhere around, say, $92 million US, about $80 million.
And comparable Western helicopters, like an S-92 or an AW-101.
Oh, much more expensive and completely unavailable to Myanmar anyway because of the sanctions. So this really highlights the cost of that isolation. You buy what you can get where you can get it, often at a discount, sure, but just to keep things running. Absolutely. And it forces reliance on partners who don't attach conditions. We saw that very clearly, actually, the induction ceremony for these Russian Mi-38Ts. It happened at the same time they took delivery of 2 Chinese Y-8 transport planes.
Ah, the Y-8 F-200Ws, right.
Yeah. So you see this dual dependency emerging. Russia for the high-end rotary wing, air defense, China for the fixed wing, heavy transport. They're patching together capabilities from whoever will sell to them.
And speaking of unconventional deals,
Yeah.
that story about the elephants,
Yeah.
we have to mention it. Is that really credible? 6 elephants for 6 Su-30 jets.
It sounds incredible, doesn't it? But the reporting is there. It wasn't just, a symbolic gift. It seems to have been part of a literal transaction.
But actual elephants.
Yeah, apparently. Now, the specifics are a bit murky. They might have been particularly valuable working elephants or breeding stock. But the point is, it shows the total breakdown of normal finance. When you're cut off from SWIFT, from international banking, you resort to, bartering strategic assets.
It's almost medieval, but driven by modern sanctions.
Yeah.
Shows just how determined both sides were to make these deals happen.
Willing to get very creative, yeah. Circumventing the entire global financial system.
Which brings us squarely to the geopolitics. This Mi-38T deal, it's way more than just selling helicopters, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a tool, a critical instrument of Russia's geopolitical influence in the region.
Russia is really cementing its role as Myanmar's go-to strategic supplier, building this whole military ecosystem for them.
Exactly right. Look at the list. Su-30 fighters, Cancer S-1 air defense systems.
That's the mobile missile and gun system for shooting down drones and aircraft.
Yeah, short range, highly mobile, very useful against the kinds of threats they face. Plus, Orlan 10 surveillance drones, and now these next-gen transport helos. It's a comprehensive package designed to keep the junta functioning, despite the civil war.
And it's not just hardware. Min Aung Hlaing met Putin back in 2025. What came out of that?
Frameworks for cooperation on atomic energy, believe it or not, and agreements on regular joint military exercises. Russia is embedding itself quite deeply into Myanmar's whole security structure.
So it's a win-win for two regimes feeling pretty isolated internationally.
Pretty much. Russia gets that reliable foothold in Southeast Asia. And what does Myanmar give Moscow in return for all this high-tech military gear?
Let me guess. Strategic presence. Resources.
You got it. Presence, access to critical stuff like rare earth minerals, potential energy deals down the line, and importantly, a market for Russian goods, including dual-use tech, that are increasingly blocked by the West.
It really shows how sanctions, even when they bite, can push countries into these new, sometimes unexpected strategic alignments that operate outside the mainstream global economy.
Definitely. And regionally, you have to think about the neighbors. Seeing Myanmar operate something as modern as the Mi-38T, that must be raising some eyebrows.
In places like Thailand, India, Bangladesh.
For sure. It sends a clear signal. MENA is managing to modernize key capabilities despite the intense international pressure. It forces those neighbors to reassess Myanmar's operational reach, its mobility.
So it potentially changes the calculus of stability in the region.
It could. If the civil war drags on or escalates, this suggests the military has the logistical muscle to sustain operations over wider areas for longer. That definitely increases concerns for bordering states.
Okay, this leads us to the part we have to address carefully. We've talked military needs, geopolitics. But what about the human cost of giving this regime such advanced mobility?
Yeah, this is the absolutely crucial counterpoint. Human rights organizations are very clear on this. Equipment like the Mi-38T, it directly enhances the military's ability to conduct rapid troop deployments, rapid strike operations into conflict zones.
So by improving their logistics, Russia is essentially enabling.
Well, they're contributing perhaps indirectly but significantly to the conditions that fuel the ongoing humanitarian crisis. Facilitating troop movements means facilitating operations that often lead to civilian displacement.
So sustaining operations in places like Saging or Karen State becomes easier for the military, which likely means more civilian harm, more displacement.
That's the grim logic, yes. It extends the military's reach and its ability to apply pressure, making things like local ceasefires or establishing humanitarian corridors much harder. There's a real civilian cost attached to this military capability.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. The big takeaway here isn't really just about 3 helicopters, is it?
No, not at all.
It's more about this strategic convergence happening between 2 internationally isolated powers, Russia and Myanmar. And this deal, it fundamentally changes the air mobility picture in one of the world's most volatile conflict zones. And it's happening because of global sanctions, in a way.
That's a great summary. It's the tangible result of that isolation. It shows how the global defense market finds ways to adapt when the usual doors are slammed shut.
Okay, here's a final thought to leave everyone with. Something to chew on. What's the deeper strategic play for Russia here? Why make Myanmar, a country under heavy sanctions, deep in a civil war, the very first foreign customer for its newest high-tech helicopter? It's like they're using Myanmar as a global showroom, isn't it? A high-stakes, real-world testbed.
That's a really sharp way to put it. It's the ultimate field test, the ultimate marketing. It proves the Mi-38T is tough, that it works under the most demanding conditions, under fire.
And it sends a message to other potential customers.
Absolutely, especially to other countries potentially facing Western pressure, maybe in Africa, Asia, Latin America. The message is, Russia delivers top-tier gear, and it stands by its partners, no matter the sanctions, no matter the internal situation. It's a powerful signal.
A powerful and perhaps unsettling signal indeed. That's a fantastic piece of analysis to end on. Thank you for walking us through all that complexity. Hopefully you listening feel a bit more informed about these shifts happening under the radar in Southeast Asia.
My pleasure. Always important to track these developments.
Thank you all for listening or watching. We really hope you found this deep dive valuable, and we invite you to check out the other deep dives we have available on various topics. Thanks again.